Citizens of New York, a dark chapter in your history is drawing to a close. Here now is the brother of the Freedom Phantom, with a special plea to his brother to desist from further fighting.
My brother and I, we were just bored, and we sort of drifted into crime at a young age due to a lack of direction or ideals and playing video games all night, violent ones. The society we grew up in kind of abandoned us, but it's never too late to straighten out. So Chris, for my sake, and the sake of the new system, I beg you to stop your terrorist activities. Okay, just surrender to the authorities, and they'll treat you fairly. The Soviet government gives you their word of honor. Just please do as they ask.
It is obvious that the heroic Soviet army has once again...
Everything I said was lies! They forced me, Chris! Don't believe this stinking propaganda! Keep fighting! Set us all free! No stick! Get your hands...
And now to the weather for tomorrow. I hear it is getting colder, Comrade Ilyana?
I've been playing a lot of old jank games lately, and some contemporary jank ones to see if there's anything worth talking about. As much of a tolerance as I have for some awkward controls, if the feel is off when it comes to combat, I just can't power through sometimes.
Watch this.
So it's always a pleasant surprise when an old game not only just works, but has also aged well in terms of its controls. Freedom Fighters is one of those gems. IO Interactive is best known for the Hitman series, and, to a lesser extent, the Kane and Lynch games. But Freedom Fighters is a cult classic and a really enjoyable third-person shooter. For the most part. Freedom Fighters is a 2003 third-person shooter with basic, and I mean basic,
reach, go watch the Ivan. Search find the Reds. Find the entrance. Go scan that area. Sir. Report, see what's over there.
You betcha.
Report act. Watch for Soviets. Get back here.
I'm ready.
Recheck our perimeter. Check over. Sweep that area. Regroup. Abort. Regroup. See what's over there. Pull out. Pull out. Find the scout. Recon. Fall back. Abort. Regroup.
Roll.
Give me a watch for Ivan.
Squad Tactics. Take the plot of Red Dawn and some of the gameplay from Overlord. That's Freedom Fighters. You play as Christopher Stone, a New York City plumber going on a job with his brother Troy to fix the pipes for a person named Isabella Angelina, who is supposed to be a notorious figure according to Chris's brother. Troy seems to be more aware of the current events, whereas Chris calls him a conspiracy theorist. Because there wouldn't be much of a game otherwise, Troy turns out to be right.
No wonder. Sister Sludge sure needs a trained surgeon here.
There is one here. Freeze! Don't move. Remain calm, citizen.
Whoa, hey, stay cool, man. I'm just the plumber.
Where is your girlfriend, citizen?
Girlfriend? Hey, she's not me.
That's not on my end, by the way. The audio desync is in-game.
I will ask again. Where is Isabella Angelina?
What, her? Look, she's not...
Well, Isabella cannot be far from here. Bomb the place to pieces.
I want to see a lawyer, buddy.
Russia invaded New York and installed its own government in charge, complete with a propaganda makeover from the posters on the walls to the brand new replacement news anchors.
My name is Tatiana Kempinski, and I will be your regular news anchor from now on. We hope in time to obtain the cooperation of most of your familiar TV personalities once they return from a re-education program at our training facilities in Alaska.
This game has such a great presentation. As the story progresses, the Russian propaganda news show explains your exploits but with its own spin. It reminds me a lot of Metal Wolf Chaos, and it's not surprising, considering both games were products of the Bush era and the beginning of disdain for Fox News at the time. The game looks good for 2003. I don't know if it's the lead artist's style, but it's like if the Time Splitters or Second Sight art style had some more realistic proportions. The models look simple for 2020, but they're expressive, and one of the animators had fun with this guy. He has the energy of a GTA 5 protagonist idle animation. I love how Freedom Fighters begins. You're immediately in control, and a friendly character you rescue guides you out of the apartment and teaches you the basic mechanics of the game.
It is fortunate that you found me. Quickly, this way. Perfect! He won't trouble us anymore!
How to shoot, how explosive barrels work, how to heal yourself.
Back here!
Good! You are ready for battle again.
How to heal allies, how to throw explosives, and how to open up sewer manholes. Shooting is pretty basic. Left-click fires, right-click aims. You can scroll through weapons and items with mouse wheel, or bind a key to open up the weapon wheel. Swap the weapon wheel keybind with melee, by the way. You'll use the wheel more than the melee attack here. You can only carry one large gun and one sidearm. Stick to the AK for most of the game, as the other weapons are only ever lethal when the enemy uses them on you. And AK ammo is much more plentiful than shotgun or SMG ammo. The only exceptions to this rule are whenever a machine gun or bazooka are available. Throwing explosives requires you to hold down left click to fill up a meter to increase the distance. My one nitpick about throwing projectiles is that there's no arc to show you where the grenades or molotovs will land. As you progress in the story, you'll have opportunities to sabotage enemy installations or rescue injured civilians. Doing so builds your charisma, which allows you to recruit soldiers into your squad. Get used to that sound, you'll hear it a lot. Like I said earlier, the squad commands in Freedom Fighters are basic. You can tell your squad to follow you, to scout ahead and attack any incoming enemies, or to guard an area. The soldiers are fairly competent, but the real strength of the squad system is the ability to overwhelm the enemy. It's really satisfying to be able to sick a small army on a single target and watch them get torn apart by a bunch of piranhas. The pathfinding is surprisingly good, except when it isn't. The other good thing about sending soldiers off is that you can distract enemies with your soldiers while you flank from behind. It's functional, but I do wish there could be more precision and depth to the system. It'd be nice to open up a map and break up your squad so that a team could use a mounted gun for support, while the rest charge towards the enemy. Also, keep an eye on your medkits as the level progresses, because reviving buddies requires medkits, which you'll need to keep yourself alive as well. Once you're out of the tutorial area, you're brought to the game's hub, the New York sewers. This is where you learn about the game's progression. When you open up the map, you get to choose which locations you want to attack. Each area is important to the Soviets for reasons. When you take over all the areas on the map, the story progresses to the next phase, and you do it all over again. What's cool about this system is that, although each level is separate, the levels have set pieces connected to adjacent levels. You can't progress to the police station until you destroy the sniper tower at the gas station, but you can't destroy the sniper tower without first getting the C4 outside of the police station. This continues throughout the game, where you can attack the helipad in one area to prevent chopper support in the next area. It reminded me of Outcast in how you could partially solve the problems in one level by solving the problems in an adjacent level, and by doing so, you would permanently sabotage the stronger enemy force. What really surprised me about Freedom Fighters is how open-ended the level design could be for each level. You're given objectives to complete, and then the game leaves it up to you to figure out how to attack each base. This is where Freedom Fighters reminds me of Vanquish, with how there are parts of the level designed to look like the front line of a battle, but there are side paths that you can use to do guerrilla combat. It's not even blatant about these paths, which is what I like and sort of hate about them. If you think you can climb something, chances are you can climb it. But when you're navigating through debris, there are areas that were hard to read for me. The game also impressed me by allowing me to do an assassination mission on one of the villains of the story, and I actually pulled it off. No story bullshit where I would have been ambushed and captured. I shot the dude, and then had to extract like it was an MGS5 mission.
The map has been updated.
I've gushed enough about the game, so now it's time for the criticisms. Although it's fun to get a large army and go ham on the Russians, building up that army can be a struggle. This game is hard, especially on higher difficulties. I died a lot due to my unfamiliarity with the map and bad checkpointing. The game has autosave, but only when you're jumping in and out of levels. You have to look for manholes within the level to open up and quicksave there. But that runs a risk when you quicksaved at a manhole deep behind enemy lines, and there are no soldiers to back you up when you return to that level. The weird thing is, at some point, the momentum of the story shifts so that soldiers spawn in with you at the beginning of later levels. I wish this would have happened whenever you beat a level with soldiers instead of starting from scratch each time, but then that would have thrown off the satisfaction of building up an army in each mission. Those later missions have one level I particularly hate because it had nothing that made Freedom Fighters good. No manholes along the way to quick save, no alternate path to take, and a persistent chopper that kept attacking a specific part of the map that was a safe area from a gun emplacement. I think I could have stopped it by destroying the helipad at another location, but I was too tilted to give up at the time. I guess it's good that the game lets you choose how challenging you want each level to be by engaging or not engaging with side objectives. The characters are barely characters, but it's cool to see how Chris's model changes throughout the course of the game. He looks pretty average at the beginning, but his hair gets longer and his clothes get raggier as the story progresses. He starts looking like a ninja with his mask on. Later levels have wanted posters showing off Chris with his nom de guerre, the Freedom Phantom. Also, one of the voices in the game is Walter Jones, better known as Zack from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Yo, man, I gotta talk to you. Wanna blow that gas station? You're gonna need some explosives. You can find some in the other neighborhood.
Freedom Fighters is a fun old shooter and is available on My Abandonware. Check the PC Gaming Wiki article on it to get widescreen running and unlock the frame rate. It's worth playing, and I'll even call it a classic. Well, now that I've done Freedom Fighters as a palate cleanser, it's time to get back to my true calling.